Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, California Resources Corporation, Southern California Edison, Kern Schools Federal Credit Union, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, Bakersfield City School District, and the San Luis Obispo County Office of Education, with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.
Live today at Raymond's Trophies and Awards, and I have a special guest with me. Why don't you let everybody know your name and your position here?
Megan Raymond. I'm one of the owners, and I'm the graphic designer and engraver with Raymond's Trophies.
Can you give us a little tour? This is your little area.
This is my area. So basically I run our 30-watt laser, our full color sublimation. I also run our rotary laser on the other side, or our rotary engraver on the other side of the building. But mostly I do the laser. So this is my workstation. I create all kinds of crazy things over here for you guys.
What are some main things that you create?
I'd say primarily I'm doing signs and plaques. And then any full color design that needs to be done in the store, we do over on this side of the store.
Can you give us a little example of something that you would design for us?
So I actually can do the math sign for you guys. So a lot of times people just want little signs placed around their building. So I am going to do a 3x4 sign for you.
Okay.
Sound good?
Sounds great.
So we work in Corel Draw, and we are PC based. We're one of the few people in the graphic industry that are PC based, which is odd, and people think it's crazy, but it's a little bit different.
So obviously with a lot of things, you have a lot of new programs, don't you?
We have a lot of new programs constantly updating. We have to sync our Corel with our laser engravers all the time, so everything's always changing. But we're up to date with it, and we know what's going on. So I'm going to do a 3x4 sign, and the way I'm going to do that is I know that I have a sheet that's 9 inches by 12 inches. So I know that I can fit that on there exactly the way I want it, and I can get all 9 pieces. So I'm going to butt it up to the corner.
So obviously you have a lot of measuring that you have to do.
We do. Our sheets come in 12 by 24. This particular sheet I had some leftover, so it was a 10 inch, so I cut off an inch of that. So I had a little bit of leftover that we just tossed, but I want to try to get the most signs out of my sheets so that I have very little leftover and very little loss in profit.
Now, when you're saying 12 by 24, you're talking all inches, correct?
Yes, inches.
Okay.
We work solely in inches. Funny thing is that when we send it to our laser, it's a metric-based system, so we do have to convert everything to inches. And they do have a nice button that does that for us. It didn't used to. You used to have to figure it all out on your own, because the laser program is actually a European-based program.
Okay, so you're working with both. You're converting
I'm working with both, yes. So we have a nice transfer program that'll do it for us. So it tells me that I need 9 total pieces. The blue lines represent my cutout, so my laser will do that for me as well. And anything that's black is what engraves. So an engraver only sees 2 colors, black and white. It doesn't see the in-between like a printer would, but it works very similar to a dot matrix printer. So it goes across the way just like it would in the old printing systems where it just created dots. So basically the laser is shooting off at so many dots per inch.
So on this particular one, is there any leftover, or are you getting it all on the complete page?
I'm going to get it all on the complete page.
Okay. And so it's just black and white, there's no color?
Correct. It's for laser, for any engraving in general, it has to just be black and white. No gray tones, no in-betweens. So next, once I have my whole page set up, I tell it to print, and we have our software already installed. I then have to assign a power and a speed to it. So based on the substrate that we're using, for example, a metal piece would probably engrave a little bit faster than a plastic piece. So I have to do 100% power for plastic and 30% speed, or possibly vice versa, 30% power, 100% speed. If I'm doing glass, I need to really be able to hit that and cut it really well. So I'm going to do a really slow speed of maybe 10% and then maybe 100% power. So we've calculated those over the years, and every time we have to up our wattage or change our bulbs, we have to recalculate all that. So it's kind of time consuming, but we try to keep it up and do the maintenance properly. So this particular one, I'm using a blue plastic. I happen to know that that takes 30% speed and 100% power. We do have another machine that runs what we call hotter. So on her particular machine, she can run it a little bit faster. She can do about 60% speed and 100 power. So depends. If we have a large job, sometimes we'll use her machine.
Well, there's a lot of numbers you have to memorize,
Yeah.
obviously. Memorizing, do you have something that kind of helps you to relate? Like if somebody else steps into here and needs to do it if you're not here, do you have something for them that they can look at?
Keep a little cheat sheet on the side over here because that happens often. Everybody here is able to do everybody's job. Not always as well as the other person, but say I'm sick or our other gals are sick, somebody can always step in and do it. So we've created a cheat sheet just for them because, you know, the manufacturer gives you this works well. Well, on the West Coast where there isn't as much humidity, it might work really well, but on the East Coast where there's more humidity, that plays a factor in it as well. So, yep, we use our cheat sheet all the time. So I have to also tell it my my measurement for my sheet so that I make sure my actual machine is much larger than my sheet, so I need to give it the practical size. And then I have to tell it, I already told it was going to be in inches. So I made a 12 by 9. We use an X and a Y axis. All of our machines based on an X and a Y axis, which when you're not real good at that in the beginning, you have to learn because on our rotary based machines, all of our calculations are 100% based on X and Y axis.
So obviously that graphing that students are learning, they need to learn that. That.
Absolutely. All right. So once I'm good, I send it just like you'd send anything to a regular printer. It goes over here, it calculates. We do have to turn on our vacuum. And I'm going to press this button right here. There you go. So the laser is printing just like a dot matrix. So we do it at 400 dpi, which means that's 400 dots per inch.
So how long will this take?
This will probably take about 10 minutes to do a full sheet.
And when we left last time, we were obviously making a sheet of our word logo, do the math.
Yes.
And it's still continuing, and it's pretty cool watching it go with that little arm back and forth. So it has a little bit more to go, doesn't it?
Just a little bit, yeah.
Now, you also do our plaques.
I do.
And there's some history behind this because Mike had sent you our logo and asked you to design our plaque.
He did. I knew your colors were blue, and he sent the logo and said, just give us something that we can give our guest speakers as they come in. So I wanted to create a background that was tangible to math, of course. I was hoping all the equations were correct. And then I just send him a proof, and he looks at it, and he makes sure he likes it, and then we're good to go.
Well, can you show us how you did this?
Yes. So it's same program that we did our other signs in. We just do it on a full color basis. So this time I can use color. So I start out having to know the size of my product. So the tiles that we do come in a 4.5, a 6.5, 6 by 8, and an 8 by 8 size. So I've got several different products I can use. We did a 4.5 for this one. So we create a couple of filters, and I did some transparencies, but ultimately we had to make sure that the do the math segment, which isn't actually white, it's sort of a gray, was the right PMS color, which is a way of measuring your colors on the color wheel. And then once Mike approved it, we went from there. So once we design it, I go ahead and send it to another printer. So this printer for engraving is right here. This piece is going to go to a color printer across the way.
Okay, can you show us that?
Yep, let me send it. All right, so it travels across the way and it goes right over here. So we have two size printers. We have a small format and a large format. And it's a regular Ricoh printer like you can buy in any Office Depot. We just switch out the inks. So we essentially void the warranty, but we change the inks to what we call a sublimation ink, which is actually not really an ink. It's a chemistry process that happens. And so
What is sublimation?
Sublimation is the transfer of a solid to a gas to a solid again. And it has to have a poly coating on the material to be able to accept that. So each substrate that we use, there's tile, there's badges, there's lanyards. Each substrate has to be pressed with a certain amount of pressure to transfer the gas, and a certain amount of heat and a certain amount of time. So the tiles, you have to heat up a lot longer, so it's about a 6-minute process. A badge is about a minute process. A piece of material might be 40 seconds. And that can give or take based on the region you're in as well. So again, West Coast is a lot more dry, so there's not as much water in it, so it can go a little bit faster. East Coast might take a little bit longer because your materials might have some moisture in them.
Now, do you use normal copy paper?
We do not. We have to buy specific paper for the process, because when it comes off, it's dry. It feels just like ink, but the odd thing is it's not an ink, and we do have to mirror it, because then when we set it on the product, it comes up right side up. So
That's why it's kind of backwards.
it's backwards.
Okay, so once there,
Uh-huh.
what do we do with that?
So once there, this is our heat press. There's lots of different ones you can use. We happen to love this one. It's a swing arm, so it's really nice for us to work with a full area.
And it's warm.
It's warm.
It's I can feel the heat.
400 degrees is pretty much the sweet spot. That's what we use for everything here. Again, depending on your region, it can change. So because tiles can break so easily, we have to put a couple of towels on there, and then we use a piece of
So it's like parchment
yeah, it's like a
paper, kind of?
parchment paper, so that if the ink transfers anywhere else, we can just wipe it right off. Because you always want to have a little bit of a bleed from where your tile's going, so that you make sure that your ink goes all the way around to the edge of the tile.
So you've started with a complete white tile.
Started with a complete white tile. It has a poly coating on top of it. You can get a matte or glossy, and then the ink will turn into a gas, and then it'll turn back into a solid.
So once you put this down on it, how long will that stay?
This particular one will take 6 minutes.
Okay. So that goes on it, and that's going to stay for 6 minutes.
6 minutes.
And then once that's done, does it come out
It comes
exactly
out just like
this?
that. Exactly like that. It'll come out. It's hot. It's 400 degrees, so it takes about 5 minutes for something like that to cool down. A sheet of metal takes about 2 or 3 seconds. We can throw it on a piece of another aluminum, and it cools it off really quickly.
So almost like a cake, you gotta let it.
Yep, you gotta let it cool.
Well, Megan, thank you. This has been
You're
amazing
welcome.
to see, especially our tiles,
Yep.
because this, this is near to our heart.
Near
and
and dear.
you designed them. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
They're beautiful. And I have another special guest with me. Why don't you let everybody know your name and your position?
Randy Raymond, and I'm the owner.
And how long have you been here?
I've been here since day one, so 24 years.
Wow.
And it started with my mom and dad, and they've turned the business over to my brother and I about 3 years ago. And so it's been a long process, but it's been a fun process.
Same building.
Same building, all 25 years.
Now, you have a lot of different components that you do here, right? Because with Megan, we saw some things that she did with the posters and the tiles.
Mm-hmm.
And can you kind of tell us what we have here in front of us, this machine here?
This is another engraving machine which engraves a lot of the trophy plates that we put on trophies and stuff. And so you push the button. This certain trophy order has like 60 or 70 trophies. Girls might be 20. This plate here is 12 inches by 16 inches, and it has all 70 plates that are on the actual plate.
So this is going to go on a trophy, right?
Eventually, what we do is we cut them down one at a time to go on an actual trophy.
And can you kind of show us how you make a trophy?
Sure. So this is what a trophy column starts out as. It's 48 inches long, and what we do is when we get a trophy order, like on our computer screen here, it shows that we need 15 first place trophies, 15 second place trophies, and 15 third place trophies. Obviously, first, second, and third place column have different heights for the column, different sizes for first or second or third. So we go in the back. Raymond, who is our trophy assembler, he would go back in the back room and cut these down individual pieces.
And do you deal with all inches then?
All inches, yes. This stick is 48 inches. I need 15 first place trophies, which are going to be a 6-inch piece. And so Ramon has to calculate that. He has to say, okay, I need 15 6-inch pieces. How many do I need to get out of the 48-inch stick? So that tells us he can get 8 pieces out of one 48-inch. So the next piece, he can get a total of 15 pieces out of 2 full sticks.
And so once you have it here, Ramon, what would you do?
So what I first do is I get the figure on top, and then put the adapter and connect it to the rod, which is the same measurement as the column. I put the check ring to make sure it doesn't move anywhere. Stick that in there, then I get the base. I get my nut and my screwdriver and just tighten it down. Once I get it like kind of snug, I make sure that it's centered, and then I just give it a couple twists.
And then
There
obviously
you
your plaque would be going
Correct.
on
Yes,
the
it would go
front.
right there.
Wow. Obviously, I'm seeing tools and things. Tools are obviously necessary, right?
Absolutely.
And with Megan, it was graphic.
Yes.
What are, if a student wanted to start in junior high, what would you say were the most specific things important for students to get into this business?
I would say a lot of it, like mechanical engineering, wood shop, anything that teaches you to work with your hands, measuring, learning how to measure is very, very important. A lot of people don't understand the difference between a 1/2 inch and 3/4, 5/8 to an 1/8. They don't understand the difference. So if you learn how to measure, you learn how to use your hands, it's a very good tool to have here.
So definitely measurement. And then over here, real quick, there are some beautiful things that you guys have put together.
Yeah, just some different, a lot of people think we're just a trophy and plaque and store, but we do so much more. We do customized medals, we do customized trophies, everything is customized that we do here. We engrave boxes and that Megan's laser that you saw earlier. We even do these Yeti mugs, and we can put a logo on the Yeti mug.
Well, thank you, and thank you for letting us come today
Great.
and see everything that you've done. And again, thank you for our tiles. They're absolutely beautiful.
Great, thank you.
Thanks again.
Okay.
Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, California Resources Corporation, Southern California Edison, Kern Schools Federal Credit Union, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, Bakersfield City School District, and the San Luis Obispo County Office of Education, with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.